Welcome in to the Energy Tech Podcast. Today we have Caceres joining Mike live at ICC 2025. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jeff, thanks for having us. Thanks for that intro real quick. That's right, I'm your co-host, Mike Flores with the Energy Tech Podcast, live here at ICC 2025. Mr. Al Caceres with Avadine has joined us here in the booth. Thanks for joining us, Al.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, man. I know we kind of put this on you. I think this is really good. And what I want to do real quick is just kind of give our listeners and viewers a chance to know who Avadine is. But before that, Al, what's your role there at Avadine, man?
Yeah, basically, I'm a business development manager. So I'm in charge of keeping all our products and services moving forward in good direction, making sure our customers are being brought along for a good ride.
Awesome. Now, typically, so Avadine is a systems integration and software group, right? A team. And do you guys have like a certain region that you guys typically play in, or what kind of player would you describe Avadine as being?
Our customers today are spread out throughout the United States. Okay. So definitely U.S. only at the moment, but we have customers that we're talking to about projects outside of the U.S.
Awesome. So, a lot of times when you work with systems integrators, in my mind, they're typically good at two things. One of two things. They're either great panel shop or they're great SCADA folks. But a lot of times you have rare companies, and it seems that Avadine might be the case. What I mean by that is that you guys typically are what I call a dot connector. And I want you to talk a little bit about that, about Avadine, some of the work that you're doing, things like that. But before I even talk about that, I do want to know, is this your first time at ICC?
This is my first ICC, yes.
Okay. And I know you were in, when I spoke earlier today, you were in the crowd. You had some really good questions and asks. So what do you hope to get out of ICC for you personally?
Well, since I've joined Avadine, I've been immersed into the whole automation and SCADA world. Yeah. And so it's been just a fun journey to learn about all these different solutions that exist and not just the solutions, the problems that exist. It's just so widespread and just very, very fun problem-solving world to be in.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you've been to the first one we did was the Ignition Oil and Gas Collective. Is there something that you're seeking out here at ICC specifically? Maybe one of the talks, one of the Prove It conferences, anything that you're looking for?
Basically for me, I'm just hoping to make some connections and just learn more about this whole world. Avadine has multiple offerings. SCADA and automation is one of them, but it is just, like I said, just such a big world on its own, and just trying to immerse myself in it is more and more and learn more.
All right. Well, now let's take this back to Avadine because, like I mentioned earlier, if you're a systems integrator, sometimes they throw integrators in a box. They put them in categories. Okay. Sometimes they're really good at a panel shop. Sometimes they're really good at SCADA systems, but you do have some, and I think this is where you might fit, where Avadine is both a dot connector and you've got some projects. Kind of tell us a little bit about Avadine's capability, your customers and what region you might serve. I know you talked about it globally, but where a lot of your customers sit in verticals.
So right now, because Avadine is headquartered in Kern County, which is in Central California, a lot of industry around there is agriculture, water, wastewater, oil and gas. So naturally, the geographical region, those are the local people around us. And so that's how we got started. Avadine's been around for 30 years or so, but that's the majority of our customers are that started in that area, and now we've expanded outside of the U.S. But as far as the dot connecting and our team, basically, Avadine has 5 offerings. Three software platforms that we support, and then we have our custom software development services, which we have lots of customers that just have us support their integration, support their custom efforts, and that's.
Tell me about that. When you say that. Like, what do you mean? Where are you guys supporting customers with products? Are you guys touching them both on like a user interface? Are you integrating custom software needs that they have? And is that like in manufacturing, would you say? Or is that oil and gas, water, wastewater? What kind of customer are you helping?
So it's kind of across the board for that question.
Okay.
We have customers in agriculture, farming. We have customers water and wastewater, where that's exactly the problem that we're solving.
Yeah.
Is we're writing software, we're writing APIs, we're building databases,
Okay.
we're building new integrations that don't exist. So just kind of depends on what challenges our customers are facing, and we'll take our expertise and what we know and go from there.
Where do you think Ignition fits in all that?
Well, Ignition's very interesting because the platform is so powerful, and there's so much you can do to it. And with 8.3 coming out and all the new features that are being exposed, there's lots of overlap. I mean, there's things now where you can question, do I need to do that in this other app, or should I just bring it into Ignition? And what we're seeing for some of our customers are just starting to bring stuff into Ignition. I met with a customer earlier today and talking just real quick, passing by, and I learned that they had cut out a third-party app and brought that whole process into Ignition just because it just made sense, and the platform is there; it can sustain it.
Right. And when you kind of work with your customer, what's one of the common challenges you're seeing? And what I mean by that is you've got like integration solutions. You've got, people just want to solve it could be a financial problem. It could be an operations problem. What do you think you're seeing as a common thread with all your customers?
That's a tough one, but I think if I really wanted to get really high level, in the oil and gas collective, during your presentation, you had a headline on one of your slides that talked about the biggest barrier, and the biggest barrier being that old culture.
Yeah.
And I think that is so true, and not just on the SCADA side. That boils down to software period, technology period. We're seeing it where farmers, they're having to start using data. They're having to start collecting, and they don't like it.
Right.
And it's a culture thing. It's just that we've been doing this for 50 years this way. Why do we need to change? And I think that every conversation that we're having with customers, there's some of that somewhere, shape, or form along the process.
You know what we're learning, Al, and I'm going to share this with you because we've covered this a lot of times on our podcast. You can go watch multiple episodes. And whether you're in manufacturing, water, wastewater, oil and gas, if you're in material handling, anywhere in those verticals, it always comes back to not just the culture, but you're going to find a generational gap that exists. Yeah. And it is so common. And what I mean by that is you might have a group of folks that are in the category of, if it's not broke, don't fix it. We're farmers, we're operations people, we're plant managers, the old school, right?
Yep.
They're typically the ones that don't have an Amazon Prime account, but they exist. Then you have that group that's in the middle, Gen Z and so on. I think you're saying exactly what we say. Is that something you pick up on when you're talking to customers?
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely that, like you said, it's not just cultural. There's a generation gap, and there's an older way of thinking, a newer way of thinking. Sure. And not to say that one is wrong, one is right, but it's just a different way. And as the world around us evolves and changes, and the technologies are changing, I mean, you either embrace it or you stay behind. And I think a lot of companies may have chosen to stay behind, and now they're getting to a point where it's coming to a boiling point where it's going to break.
Yes.
They have to do something now.
Yeah. So you got to iterate or change. I mean, your business dies if you don't, right? So, I think Ignition does fit the bill. We both agree on that. We talked a minute here just about the generational gap that exists. I also think there's a digital expectation that your customers want, that I know everyone here wants to solve. They want mobility, they want capability, right? And where do you think kind of Avadine and Ignition pair up well with that?
Well, I think Avadine is really focused on the community and really focused on bringing in all the players. And so if you look at some of the case studies we've done, we're bringing in Opto 22 hardware. We're bringing in Canary. We're bringing obviously into Ignition.
Right.
We're bringing in Tosibox. We're bringing in all these newer technologies, newer companies that are, I guess, disruptive.
Yes.
You know, not just in the fact that they're bringing in technology that does newer things in better ways, but yeah, I think that's the right way to say that. But
No, I think you're right. So it sounds to me like Avadine is edge driven. I think that's what I'm hearing, is that the company as a whole is looking at being driven with edge capability, right?
absolutely.
That's now available, and it's so much easier. You mentioned some really great partners in there already. The Opto 22 partners. You know, you talked about Canary. You've mentioned the Tosibox team, of course. You know, what do you think the future is for Avadine, like going forward when you're talking about future ready for customers?
Yeah, I think the future for Avadine is pretty straightforward. You know, we're gonna hone in on what we're currently working on with Ignition with our customers, and just continue expanding, making sure to stay on the forefront of continuing to bring in the new technology. You know, staying ahead of the curve, and really educating ourselves and being responsible in that fact that our customers can rely on us to make sure that we're educated and that we understand what's going on around us and what opportunities, you know, may be coming up to solve that there wasn't a solution before, you know.
I have one more question, and I want to ask this. How prevalent right now is AI and machine learning in the conversations with your customers at Avadine? I mean, how prevalent is that?
Well, if it's a conversation with somebody on the business side,
Yeah.
it's forefront. It's a conversation with engineers. It's not even
Right.
coming up in conversation. But yeah, a lot of the business side, a lot of executive side, they are used to hearing about AI. They're starting to play with it themselves,
Right.
and things that they use, iOS, Android OS, all of these operating systems that everybody uses are introducing AI features now. So I think that it's natural for the end users who are not very tech savvy to expect it.
Sure.
But we know on our side that there's a lot that goes into being able to create an experience that's actually, you know, worth it, or that's
Yes.
appropriate, I guess.
Yeah, or solves problems.
solves problems.
Yeah, or fits the business case,
Yep.
right? I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, so what I'm hearing from you basically is that the business, which has the 30,000-foot view, sees AI and machine learning as potential. But when you talk to operations and the driver in between that group, that's probably not the case, because they see a digital reality that probably they're not there yet. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
sounds to me like one of the things about Avadine is your ability to go in and fill the gap and solve that problem somewhere in there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think you came with some guests, some of your teammates. It looks like they're here as well.
Yes.
And in your mind, you know, as a team, what are some of the ways that you guys are looking at maybe integrating AI or machine learning? Is it just a conversation piece, or is it like, well, you know, we've looked at some possibility?
Yeah, actually, there is an application that we've applied already. So in the Oil and Gas Collective, we talked about our new solution called IPOC, which is an ignition pump-off controller solution.
Okay.
And so IPOC has that ability. What it does is it will take the cards that are generated, and it'll feed that data. Right now, we're just playing with OpenAI, but I mean, the idea is to make it so that anybody could plug in whatever LLM they want. But we're using OpenAI. We're sending it the data from the card, and it is spitting back a wonderful, nice, very, very well written and useful information about the card. About the, you know, how it's behaving, and so it's very cool, very slick. I think Pat in the presentation just said it is super cool like 5 times. I think he said that, but yeah, super slick.
Well, I'll tell you what, if people, you know, when we put this out, we're going to share the content with the community. Okay. Avadine gets that, but at the same time, we'll grab Pat, and I think it would be great. I really want to invite Avadine to a second showing, whether it's here and also on our podcast. I think that would be great, where we can demo the product as well.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
those of you that'll be watching this, as part of the Energy Tech podcast, we've got a group of folks that are both automation engineering, instrumentation, electrical, SCADA teams, directors. Right now is a big budget season for oil and gas and other groups. So I think it's timely that you came on, talk a little bit, and you kind of teased us a little bit now. And my mind is like, we got to get you on just for that product and talk about it. You solve a lot of issues downhole for production optimization. Okay. So I think that's a big one right there. And, I just want to thank you for coming on the show, Jeff. And I think what we're going to do is, close this out.
Yeah.
And I really want you to just share with the audience, if you had the opportunity to say, hey, Avadine is great at X. I mean, what does that look like?
Yeah, Avadine is at the end of the day, we're a software integration shop. And so what we're really good at is taking a look at overall problems, whether that's on the SCADA side, database side, software side, and we're able to really drill down to the bottom and figure out what problem is and how can we solve it in a really easy way. I think that's the simplest way to put it.
Al, that was well said, man. That's awesome. Thanks for joining us here live at ICC 2025 with the podcast, our group, the Energy Tech Podcast. I am your co-host, Mike Flores. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And look out for Avadine. Appreciate you, Al.
Thanks, Mike.
Man. That was awesome.
Thank
that was
you.
good.
Yeah.